I need my lungs healed. I've got bronchiectasis.
Tell us about the lung disease.
I had this lung disease, Maria, you might be able to tell me the name of it properly, I can't say it properly, bronchiectasis. Is that how you say it anyway? Bronchiectasis, that's how I think you say it. I had that pretty bad. And I coughed day, night, coughed up phlegm all the time, coughed up skin, all sorts of stuff. And
How long did you have it for?
Oh, how long did I have it for? A couple of years anyway, 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and it got worse and worse. It was getting worse and worse. And at night, my husband was getting so ratty, he said, you've got to put a blanket over your head or I'll... I don't know what he was going to do with me. And this went on a couple of times every night. So I thought, oh, gee, I'm getting desperate to get better, get healed.
So what did the doctor say?
Oh, the doctor says there's no cure for this, and that just put your feet up every morning and every night for half an hour, and try and drain the fluid out of these pockets that with that disease come in your lungs and keep filling up, and some skin comes out and everything. And he said, just keep doing that. And 2 different doctors told me that's what I had to do. Well, I did that constantly for a couple of years.
So what was coming out of your lungs?
Well, there's mucus in your lungs, so that comes up, but there was a lot on the lining part of everything. That comes up as well.
So you're coughing out your lungs?
You're coughing out everything. But, so it wasn't very nice. I wonder my husband couldn't sleep and was getting cranky. But anyway, that's life, isn't it? So anyway, Pastor Mark, can I go on to Pastor Mark come back to our church just recently? Recently, how long?
Yeah, about 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. And I was desperate by this stage. If I didn't get healed, I'd probably get thrown out. So I was pretty desperate, and I was starting to be like that lady that grabbed Jesus by the hem of the thing, you know. I was getting really desperate. I told God, I said, I'm desperate, I have to be healed. This lung has to be healed. And I went out. I did say it to you, but I wasn't going to. I just said, I want my lungs healed. That's all I said. Uh-huh. And you just laid your hands on my head like that. I don't even know if you said anything, but you did put your hand. No, it was probably enough. Anyway, the anointing, and then my legs went all tingly and shaky, and then I started to get all weak. And Mark goes on to the next person, of course, and someone came behind me and laid me down. And I didn't, other than that, I didn't feel a big, lightning bolt or anything.
They did last night.
I could imagine with all the singing here. And
all right.
I need my lungs healed. I've got bronchiectasis. After prayer, 2 days after prayer, in the morning, I had a scan. I was booked in for the scan of my lungs. And he scanned my lungs, and I've got the report here that came back, and he said there's no sign of that disease. And he said, no sign at all of that disease.
So, was the doctor a little bit baffled by this?
He was very
because
baffled.
He said it was incurable.
Yeah, he said, well, that's what he said to me. He said he was stunned. He was reading it, and he could hardly read it to me. He was just perplexed, and he was, doctors can't understand when something supernatural happened. So he was, but he was a good doctor, and he's really good with me. He said, look, this is an incurable disease, but he is saying, this person who read the scan is saying it is clear. So I can't, that's that.
Allison, when they did the scan on the lungs, they found out something about your heart.
Yeah.
Now tell us about the problem with your heart. That wasn't, you never mentioned your heart, but the anointing knew all about it. So what was wrong with your heart? Because you had a major problem with your heart.
I did have a major problem.
Just look at the camera.
Yeah, cardiomyopathy. So the heart muscle at the time, this is in 2010 I think, the heart muscle in the time was enlarged, it was floppy, it was only pumping out 25% of blood. I don't know how long I only had it pumping out that, because I was looking after 3 little kids, driving them an hour in the morning, hour in the afternoon to schools and daycares and things. And when I went, I started little tiny blackouts. And so I went to my doctor. I said, look, I think I need to get checked out at the hospital. And he wrote straight away. Got me in, and he said, first thing he said to me, the surgeon, he said, off the road if you're driving. You're not to drive, you know. And I said, what? Tears come to my eyes, not to drive. So I said, okay.
So how long did you have this problem for?
Well, I don't know exactly.
Oh, you're driving your little kids around, so it's a long time, because you're not 20, right?
No, I'm not 20, but these are grandchildren,
So you had a pacemaker put in?
I've had a pacemaker, dual defibrillator, everything put in my heart. And one night only a year ago, it was stopped 3 times overnight.
What, the heart or the pacemaker or whatever?
The heart.
The heart stopped?
Heart stopped 3 times. And what happened is that because I went to a top specialist, heart specialist above the hospital, public hospital, to find out the truth, because they don't always tell you. And so I went to the top bloke, who's the best heart specialist in Queensland. And I asked my doctor, could he write and ask me to go? I went to him and I said, he said, what do you want to know, Alice? He said, I want to know, did my heart stop? He looked it up. He said, Allison, you were dead. This is not last Easter, it's Easter before.
So you came and had prayer.
So I came.
And then you had this scan. What did the scan show about your heart?
The scan said my heart was normal. So I presume it's normal. And something else in my heart it said was normal too. I don't know what it means. I have to get a certain...
I think it means you're normal.
And I've got a feeling I went to get my blood checked because I had that high platelet count, and it's looking pretty normal too. So,